Okay, so hello all. I'm already running very short on time. Things didn't go to plan today so far. So I'm gonna have to try and do this as quickly as possible. Firstly, I'd like to apologize again for being an asshole and saying what the fuck is wrong with you people. Nothing is wrong with you guys. It's just figure of speech. Really, I'm just very frustrated. I fight real hard to try and get people motivated here, and everybody tells me, and when I say everybody, I mean, roundabouts 100 people will tell me daily what they want to share, what they have to share, how much inspiration they have, and motivation and creativity, and how much they want to do to help shape this and to help move this and make this happen, change things for the better. And some of them that I have expressed this particular message to are very, enthusiastic about it when they speak to me on Messenger. But then that clock runs down, tick tock, tick tock. I don't see shit. And when the deadline hits, there's nothing. And what they give me back is an excuse, something along the lines of, either, I didn't have time for it, which they had time for it then, but they didn't do it. And I'm gonna have to presume it's something having to do with them being afraid or careless or what have you, whatever the reason may be. It's not good enough. There's no excuse for telling me, essentially giving me your word that you're going to do something, and then when the time comes and I have to ask you, why didn't you do that? And you tell me something like, I didn't have time for it, when in fact you had the time then. Or the other reason usually being something like, what I get a lot is, I don't really want to share my business with random people. First of all, you've known these people for a while. These people, I mean, I guess you don't understand the concept here, but we're family. We're a unit. We're trying to unify everyone. This is not an abstract concept. We are in fact together. We're all part of the human species. We're all part of the planetary system. We're already family. We're already together. We're just trying to make you aware of that. And if you feel as though you don't know these people in the group, it's because you haven't made any effort whatsoever to meet them. Is this not common sense to you? Like, do you not understand that in order to know someone, you kind of have to interact with them at some point? And we need for you guys to start interacting. We need for you guys to get motivated. We need for this to get moving because we are exceptionally late now. We are terribly, terribly late. Recent happenings have put us way back. And I'm going to have to explain this whole deadline issue with you right now, which again is something I was very reluctant to share. I didn't want to say it because I'm going to come across as crazy to some people, and it might be scary to others, and anyone who actually believes it. I'll just get to it. Before I started training, before I met Ariel, I had a lot of what you call lucid dreams, and I learned to control that well. I learned to create objects and creatures and whatnot, and create scenarios for practicing and training. And I was naturally a traveler. That was always a kind of a gift I had, I suppose. I was able to move through worlds, and when I did start training with Ariel, and I was exposed to literature that spoke of things like astral projection and whatnot, it blew my mind that this was an actual science, that people had been practicing this, and that it was all over the place, and it was in fact a part of our tradition this whole time, and I had no idea. I was just naturally doing it and kind of thought that maybe either everyone was doing it or I was the only one, or whatever, but for whatever reason I was reluctant to share that because the same issues like you. I was afraid, you know. I was skeptical as to how well it might be received should I share that information. And when I did share that information, I got some pretty mixed responses. Some people laughed at me. Sorry, I mean, so so you're saying that you've visited other worlds and other dimensions. First of all, no, dimension is the wrong term. That does not relate. Dimension refers to spatial qualities. There are four dimensions. You can see three of them. And you're going to learn to see the fourth one. When you do, you'll understand what's happening here. Um, in any case, there was, various prophecies about some sort of a global shift in consciousness or an apocalyptic scenario that would transpire. The Mayan calendar thing and all that. There's so many of them. It's not even worth getting into, and I don't have the time for it. But there did, in fact, um, transpire a shift of this sort at just around the time that it was proposed that it would. It's not many people took notice of it, and this is for one very particular reason, because it's not really noticeable. Now people are beginning to notice it now. And if you look into things like the Mandela effect, where people are thinking, something's wrong, things have changed, something's different. A lot of things are different than people remember them being. And most people call this a hoax, or they say it's an illusion, or it's just bullshit. It is not. These inconsistencies, I've been noticing them for a long while, and I have my own personal theories as to why it's happening, and I do not wish to share those. I can say that I believe somebody caused an alteration at some point. I'm not going to say who because that could get me into trouble, but I believe somebody, maybe a few people, caused alterations in the timeline, as it were, kind of a time travel sort of thing happening, that changes have been made, and we're beginning to notice the inconsistencies because some people are kind of overlapping between the two, or however many different timelines are in fact existing. But ultimately, there's going to be two major a rift between two different worlds here. One of them is going to continue to escalate into the jargon garbage nonsense that we've seen this whole time, and it's going to cascade into a nightmare scenario. The other is going to evolve, move ahead, move forward, fix these things, move on to the next phase. This is a cycle that's been happening forever. It's been happening for hundreds of thousands of years, if not more. Who knows how long it's been going on? We can only see so far back, but we do see that this cycle has happened over and over again. Extinction events. The planet has reached a point where it's just pretty much the civilization of the time is demolished, erased, forgotten, buried over, and very little traces are left, and we're beginning to find traces of these civilizations now. If anybody who's paying attention, especially to the archaeological aspects of what we're doing, which Boob is covering that. He should be covering it more. Boob, if you watch this, show them something. Show them that I can't remember what it's called now, Titicaca or whatever. Show them the shit man. That's your field, that's your thing. I don't have enough time and memory capacity to cover everything anymore, but that's why I delegate. And in delegating, many people, if I turn away from them, they'll wander off, and it's very frustrating. And just recently, some of the people that I put most of my trust in, my absolute faith in, just totally blew me off. Blew it off. I mean, it didn't blow me off. I wasn't around to be blown off, but in my absence, when I wasn't watching, which again, it's my fault. I take responsibility. I should have been paying attention, but in my absence, they just kind of slacked off, let things slide, and it was a critical error. It doesn't seem like much to them, but they cannot see what's going to be happening, a week or two or a month from now, and I can, and it's not good. um, we're doing our best to turn it around, and in the past couple of days, have had a pretty great deal of success here in finding measures to turn this around. We are in fact going to be altering our format here drastically, expanding to other sites, perhaps creating entire new sites. We're going to be essentially dismantling and rebuilding the initiative in a more stable manner with a new foundation, because it's become evident to me that the foundation we built upon is not solid enough for this to work. In any case, in my practice of dreaming, especially when I started practicing with Ariel, my spotter, and learning, how to use this dream works properly, it became it became apparent to me, became clearer to me, clearer and clearer, that I began to have dreams that were somewhat prophetic, that would, show me things that were going to happen, and then they would happen. And I never, I always kind of took it with a grain of salt and thought, well, I'll watch out for it. Maybe, it might happen. And I always doubted my intuitive faculties. I still sometimes doubt my intuitive faculties, and it's always a mistake, because every time that I doubt my intuition, I wind up getting screwed for it. And every time that I trust my intuition, it's spot on. And these dreams, they became more and more vivid and more explanatory, and further and further into the future. One dream that I had when we were building the garden program before the status initiative, I had a dream that I went to a future where there was an organization called the Status Initiative that was the director of this organization was named Dallas Tucker, and he told me that I was responsible for having caused this to happen. And their primary platform was a project of shared dreaming, where they had created a kind of a mix between technology and spirituality that allowed for people to effectively have a kind of a like an online internet game, except it was a dream. It was a giant shared dream between a bunch of people, and people could be whoever they want, to whatever they want, and live in a world where they were effectively immortal and, invincible, and do whatever they wanted to. And everybody was having a great time. It was a wonderful experience. I was flabbergasted by it. I got to play around with it myself a little. It was amazing. And this Dallas Tucker character, he sent me back, and he gave me one piece of advice. He told me, if I ever need to, if I'm ever in trouble, in real trouble, to use his name, to take his name as my own and use it, and that it it would cause for help to come, and to, aid to help me. And so that became my alias, Dallas Tucker. I don't know if this is that time, but I'm just putting it out there in case, because the point we're at, I have to try. Um, the As I was saying, the people that I put my most faith into, they left us hanging, and one of them in particular, ironically, the one who is most enthusiastic about this and really into it, and had pretty much like sworn loyalty to help make this happen. He told me that he was so happy that he had found this group and these people, and somebody that was working to do this, and to make this happen, and that he in fact knew the same things that I knew, and he was on board totally. He just, one little thing went wrong. He got one bad review, I guess you could say, and he just flipped his shit, lost it, blew up on me, said some terrible things, and ran off. Blocked me, of course, and skipped off on the initiative. In fact, badmouthed the initiative as though we had done something wrong to him, where in fact we kind of fucked ourselves by backing him, in order to kind of keep him aboard. We wanted to back him up and make sure that he knew that we were loyal to him, and he still turned on us anyway. And that really hurt. That really pissed me off. And I flipped out, lost my shit, and made the video where I bitched at everybody, and I apologize. In any case, another dream that I had after that. See, that dream about the status initiative is essentially how I came to the idea that we would build this training program and make it happen, and work on making the status initiative happen. Another dream I had more recently, a few years back, I guess. I'm not sure how long. It seems like even this past year just seems like a whole lifetime has passed to me. But um, in this dream, I saw the same future, but it was a future where the status initiative had either never happened or had failed at some point. And this future is not something that we can ever allow to happen. This future was a fucking nightmare. And I'm not sure how it happened. I have theories, but it seems as though it has something to do with switching over from using relativity as our existence concept to using quantum mechanics. And pretty much reality went haywire. People didn't know how to maneuver. People didn't know how to control it. They didn't know what they were doing. Directive relativity became an overwhelmingly consistent aspect of everyday life, and people were in fact kind of just randomly creating new rules for physics, and reality was going ape shit, and things were happening that I don't even want to think about to explain. It was like monsters running loose in the streets kind of thing. And I know it sounds crazy, but look around. These things are beginning to happen. Worlds are colliding. Reality is shifting. It's already happening. It's been happening for a while now, and it's going to keep happening more and more. And if we don't manage it, it's going to cut loose. It is the kundalini of the entire planet being unleashed. And as I've explained to you before, if it is not managed properly, it can be very, very destructive. And we are talking about the entire planet here. Now, in case you don't quite understand, we don't have anywhere else to go. This is the only game in town. If we lose this, we're shit out of luck. Period. I mean, I guess we could start from scratch elsewhere, but who knows how far that shift reaches, because reality is reality wherever you go. Be it in this, what we call them physical, everything is physical, this material plane, or, in some sort of spiritual world, in the world of dreams, whatever the case may be. Who knows how far this is going to reach, but as directive relativity becomes more prevalent, things are going to start to get out of control. Time mechanics is our conceived method by which to teach and to learn how to control this effectively. How to get a grasp on this and to control it. And a part of it is us working together. It combined intention, wherever two or more are gathered in my name. That's written into your scriptures. It means something. It means that when two or more people have the same intention, that intention is amplified exponentially. Wherever two or more are gathered in my name, the name of God is creation. It's pure creation. It is Kamwi Ausi Siari. It is the shifting glyphs. It is the power of heaven. So when you put forth your intention, When you make a decision about what you want to happen, that is calling on the name of God. That is your inherent ability as a human being. It's your gift. It is what you are, and it is what you are capable of doing and being. Your thought, your word, your deed, these are the tools that you have to create whatever you want. And those tools are going to begin to become more and more effective as we move along here. And when I saw Ariel again in the dream, she took me through this very wacky experience, and she made it very clear to me that it was in fact her. It was not a figment, which at some point I'll get into attempting to explain the differences between figments and actual persons in dream works. That's a pretty big topic, but I will cover it for you at some point. But point being that she proved to me that it was in fact her, and she told me that those who serve will move ahead. When this shift occurs, those who provide a service, those who slave for others, those who put dedicate their lives to working for others will move ahead. And we're trying to get everyone on board here so that we can sail this ship into a new horizon. We don't want to leave anyone behind. The shift has occurred. The shift may still be occurring. Whatever it is that's happening, it's happening. And I don't know. I don't believe it's too late. But the very last dream that I had, prophetic sort of dream, this was very recently, just before I built the directive. In fact, I was informed that we had 18 months remaining. I don't know if that meant that this catastrophe would occur in 18 months, or if that, the catastrophe would occur at some point if we had not managed to succeed with the initiative in 18 months. Whatever the case may be, I am capable of seeing far enough ahead and, calculating probabilities well enough to see that certain factors can cause for us to gain or lose time in that regard. Losing the certain person I was talking about, that's a big deal. That sets us way, way back. And I don't know how much time we could have lost by that, but it's definitely a lot. So I'm going to say that 18 months has been cut down. But at the same time, I've also, almost immediately, I went to work on replacing that person and finding a suitable replacement and making sure that things have a chance to sail smoothly from there. So I'm gonna hope we recovered that time. I don't know. Because of what's happened, my energy has been dropped so much that I'm not seeing as clearly as I should be, as I usually do. I'm gonna get back to it though. I'm gonna pick up and I'm gonna get back to managing this, and I'll try to be available for the initiative and do what I can, post things and whatnot. Do what I think is necessary, but in some cases I am in fact incapable. I do not have the time. And the people that are working with me in the directive, I need for you guys to step up, man. I mean, you have the time to make excuses. Why don't you use that time to make an effort instead? I mean, some of you that may fall ill or in some way, I'm sorry for that. It sucks. And I'm going to do whatever I can to help with you. If I could get enough people to, combine their intentions towards healing you, that would be very effective. But people are careless, and it's very sad and unfortunate. And I'm not sure how to go about, enhancing your motivation to help make this work. But on one hand, I believe these dreams are true. The reason for that being because in my personal experience, I've had, I don't know, give or take a little 100% accuracy so far. They have never, ever been wrong. Every single one of these prophetic dreams has come to pass. On the other hand, if there's a chance that it might be wrong and that it might not be a real thing, as a gambler, I'm not willing to take that risk, because what I saw there, the future that I came and I lived in this future, I spent a great deal of time there. I spent 2 years or so that I can recall living in this future, watching it happen, and I'm aware of the catalysts that cause for it to happen. One of which being an issue with the LGBT community, specifically the transgender movement. It's something went awry there, and that a big factor of that has to do with the pornographic industry, and I'm working on figuring that out. But we need to ensure that these people, the transgenders specifically in the LGBT community, are properly respected and taken care of, protected, and not exploited. That's a big deal, because that is one of the major catalysts that caused for this to happen. Two, the school shootings and whatnot, these school protests, that didn't happen the first time. That's new. I'm pretty sure we made that happen. That's very good, and I hope that that works out. We're trying to follow it, but again, my people are just lax. They're not putting an effort into this enough, and I'm sorry to say that. Whatever effort you guys are putting forth, I'm very grateful for it, but we need to pick up our game here, because this is a big fucking deal. It's not a joke. We don't have time to dick around here. We don't have time to make excuses. If you have time to make excuses, use that time to be productive. The school shootings, and that's related to a third factor, which is, I don't really want to say it. I never did. I've been so reluctant, but there is an issue with programming in the media. You guys are being programmed. You're being distracted by media items. You're being distracted by social medias. You're being distracted by news networks. You're being distracted by, sports events. All these things that are distracting you, they are directly programming you. The people that, for whatever reason, either don't know what they're doing or want this to happen for whatever reason, they've mastered this technology, this psychic, this thought tech, as we call it, this psychic technology, that they're able to influence the values that you have in a subliminal manner, so that you are kind of essentially programmed without knowing it, and you kind of, you're making decisions that you're unaware of, and it's all implications. Experience is made of implications, whatever you imply. And that's what spot casting is about. It's about causing for a person to imply something to themselves that will trigger a value in their brain and thereby cause a reaction in the world. We took it upon ourselves to go ahead and steal their technology. It began at 1943 or thereabouts, a little earlier, with the Nazi regime using, torture tactics to essentially invent mind control or thought control techniques, manners by which to program a mind. And then when America got its hands on it, it boomed. It got very out of control. They really did master this technology, and now it's become commonplace. It's in everything. And the recent generations, they're all they're all infected with this. I'm sorry to say, I hate to tell you guys that, and of course, some of you won't believe me. Some of you will get pissed off at me. In fact, the reaction you're very likely to have to me saying this is anger. If you're angry at me for saying this, if you think I'm a bullshitter and you're pissed off that I'm telling you you've been programmed, that's because I'm attacking the programming. That's not you. That's the program fighting for itself. So if this pisses you off, that's a symptom. Just please take note of it. Think about it. I'm for you. I'm here for you. I'm not trying to badmouth you. ever. I'm trying to help you. And it's not terribly difficult to undo this if you just become aware of it. And we can teach you all about that. The fourth color type, purplers, we've ascertained are in fact not a naturally occurring personality profile. The purplers, indigo children are one thing. The indigo children and the crystal children and all that different, terminology is used for them. They're our backup. They're people that have been kind of incarnated with inherent abilities, born with skills and talents that took us years to learn and master, to back us up. They're badasses. They're specialized operatives sent in for specific purposes. They're here to back the initiative and the other initiatives that are out there working as well. And when I say, that it's imperative the initiative succeeds, I mean all of us, but specifically this one, because, this is the only one that I have control of. So I'm going to have to go ahead and try to make sure that this one works just in case the others fail. But we're all here fighting for this. All the good people out there that want to make a difference, that want to live in a better world, we're all part of the same initiative. We are all soldiers in this battle for neutrality and unity. We're not fighting any enemy other than cognitive dissonance and ignorance. There is no enemy we're fighting other than the battle itself. So it's kind of an inverted catch-22 here. We're trying to end division. We're trying to end conflict. And we do have to fight for that. So it's a really tricky situation. But these purplers are the kids nowadays, the younger generations, newer generations that have been programmed since birth. These mind control tactics have just been blasted at them from everywhere, and they have very specific symptoms that you can pick out, which I'll get to later because I'm already out of time here. But there are very specific symptoms that give them away, and these purplers, they don't know that they're doing this. They're not bad people, none of them. They're great, wonderful people. Every one of them are very creative, very inspired, wonderful people. But they have this pattern that they cannot break. And that pattern is in fact to target people like us, to target spotters, to befriend them, to gain their trust, and they're very good at it. Their inherent ability is persuasion. They're very, very persuasive. People tend to just kind of fall in love with them. When you see, that's one of the primary symptoms, when you see a person who just everyone kind of falls in love with, and it's most often females, because females are most effective, but they have the widest range of effect. But there are a lot of males too. Some of them have actually been taken and physically programmed, materially. These torture tactics have been used. Just crazy shit is going on that you're not aware of, and you think it's a hoax. It's not. As I've said, none of this has been hidden from you. It's right in front of your face. The media is so good at convincing you that everything's a bullshit hoax, and you buy it because you don't want to believe that it's happening. But you got to wake up, man. We don't have time anymore to dick around. This dream is going to become a nightmare if we don't get a handle on it. So you see a person that, everybody tends to fall in love with, and kind of hound around and follow around and do anything for. They're going to attract strange occurrences like, UFO sightings and shit like that. They're strange attractors, as one of our people coined that term, strange attractors. And we have a few working with us now. We've actually succeeded in breaking the program and retraining a few of them, and they're just so very effective at attracting people and at making things happen. They're like kind of like a secret weapon, because that's what they were designed to be initially, a weapon against us, against our tradition. They target spotters. They find good people who want to be helpful, They convince them that they need help. They convince them that they are in fact being helpful, and cause for, us to become addicted to them, and then they break us. As soon as they get us to be fully addicted to them and trustful with them, they will just bust us. They'll bust our shit, break our souls, break our hearts, and the point of which being to try and turn us into bad people, to try and make us hateful, to try and change us into a monster. And it works so very often. So many good people, great, wonderful people that want to do good in the world, run into one of these purplers, get their shit broken so hard that they can't come back. And it's almost like a PTSD situation. They're so traumatized by it that they lash out at the whole world. They become hateful, angry, hurtful people. And that, pretty much there are other catalysts that are transpiring, and I'll get to that at a later point. The directive has been made aware of some of them, but the transgender issue, LGBT community, generally speaking, we gotta make sure that they're respected and properly taken care of. They're our people. There's no difference between us. There's no division. There's no reason to hate them. No reason to hurt them. And they are not a sex object, or anything like that. That's a fucking no no. No thoughts of that matter are allowed here. These are people who are they could be considered an evolution of our species. In fact, the third type of sex. They're a new kind of person. It's not really new. It's been happening for a long time, but now is the point where it's becoming public interest. A publicized item of inquiry, and it's integral that we handle it properly. B, the shootings and whatnot. We have to hit that at the core. We have to get down to where we're teaching people, how we're handling people. The teachers in our schools, you have to be a mediator. You have to watch out for the kids. You can't let bullies run amok. You can't placate the children. They need discipline. They have not been provided any discipline. The parents of these generations did not discipline their children properly. They're lacking discipline entirely, and because of this, they feel lost and hopeless. They hurt themselves, they cut themselves, they commit suicide. And when they can't hurt others, they hurt themselves. But ultimately, they're out there damaging people. And these are the purplers that we're talking about. I'm very sorry to say it. They're wonderful people. They're not bad people. They just need help because they have this pattern programmed into them. They can't escape it. And that's the third issue. The purplers, we need to be very careful. Watch out for them. They're not to be avoided. I mean, if you don't feel confident in your ability to assist them and alter their perspective, then yes, you should probably avoid them. But if you are a practice spotter and you know what you're doing, you're capable of spotting these cues and taking care of things, then handle them, because they have handlers handling them on the other side. They have people cueing them. They have people who can do just what I can do, spot casting them and causing for them to promote damaging influences. And we need to get a handle on that, pull them back to neutrality, no division, no damaging, no harming, no lying, no dividing. That's the three I can speak of right now. And for those of you that think that I'm crazy for saying this, I'm sorry. That's your deal. If you've never had prophetic dreams, if you've never seen it happen, I don't know what to tell you. But look into it. Just look into these things. You're going to find it. It's all over the place. You have the internet at your disposal. Look into these things, and you will find the answers are right in front of your face. They always have been. In any case, I'm totally out of time now. I love you all. Sorry if I offended anybody. I didn't mean to. I was just pissed off because, one bad apple fucked everything up pretty bad. But we're going to fix it. Again, I love you all dearly. I'm sorry for everything that I've done to piss you off if I have. I'm going to do my best to get better and better every chance I get. Kila Salai, Terveuni Siari, Namaste.